Go to the field, he had like a fake deer, and he would shoot a bow and arrow at it in like the center field. I was like,
That is so awesome. Got the piping. Yes. Yes. Yes.
shit, Stone Cold's gonna stun me.
2000 NLCS Championship ring, which is one of the. Oh, look at the box it's in. Yeah. Yeah. We in on that action. We in that action.
Rickey don't sign on Mondays. We go through the next day, he's like, Rickey don't sign on Tuesdays.
So, like, rain delays, were there any, like, stories you have about, like, because I've always seen awesome, like, rain delay videos, like Robin Ventura, like, dressing up as Mike Piazza and, like, faking BP and stuff like that.
Stadium. I don't know what season that was, if it was, like, 99 or 2000, but, yeah, I remember, kind of going in there and, dressing up. We were in the dugout, and they're like, what are you doing? And that's when he got Piazza's whole gear in, and obviously it was at the point where the game was, like, obviously not going to come back because it was pouring, and the whole field was soaked, but they have to wait a certain period of time, so like these players just have like nothing to do, they're just kind of fucking around until they leave to the clubhouse. So he got in, he ran around the bases and dove into home plate.
It's hysterical.
But, the crowd was kind of going nuts. Mets and Yankee fans. So,
I bet. What other kind of like shenanigans did was it just kind of like when you're trying to kill time, I guess, with players? Are you guys just like, do you shoot the shit with the players? Are you giving them their distance because the game might happen? Like, how's that?
You shoot the shit with the players either way. Like they're kind of just trying to like kill some time between batting practice and lifting weights or whatever. But they're always kind of fucking around with you. I remember there was one time when we, rain delay, and this was a game in at Chase Stadium, and a bunch of us were in just the kitchen area where people were kind of congregated, and Al Leiter was like, I told me, he's like, I bet you Rickey Henderson doesn't know a single player on this team. And he started listening to Rickey Henderson, the names of the players in the infield, and he's like, who plays first base? He's like, mind you, John Orlero played first base for him on 3 organizations. But, he's like, oh, Ole. Yeah. There's no last name. He just called him Ole. He's
Rickey
like,
Henderson. He's the man, dude.
Stop asking me questions.
God, he's the coolest. Rickey Henderson.
Yeah, he definitely spoke in the third person. We'd have to get stuff signed by them. They'd sell them up in the clubhouse, and you'd go up to Rickey and be like, "Hey, Rickey, can you sign this? It's for it's for Charlie, for the equipment manager at the time." He's like, Rickey don't sign on Mondays. We go through the next day. He's like, Rickey don't sign on Tuesdays.
Tell me he just ran through the week. Rickey don't sign on Wednesdays.
Yeah, whenever he didn't want to sign anything, he just said it was the day, and then Rickey don't sign. So.
God, that is so funny, man. God, I heard you play. You told me you were playing cards with him during like. Was it during?
I was not on the field for the grand signal. I was in the clubhouse.
For the Ventura walk-off.
I was right next to Rickey and Bobby Bo. They were playing cards the whole game, so I can confirm that did indeed happen.
Epic.
But Rickey's a legend, I guess. And he was doing his thing, right? Like there's always a Rickey story. We made up a story when he got traded from the Mets, and because John Rote was then on Seattle, who he got picked up with, and the joke that we had was that Rickey showed up to Seattle. And he's like, there was a guy in the Mets that used to have a helmet. That wasn't true. Like, the media heard us joking around in the clubhouse, and they like published it. And, like,
rode with it. God, that's great. That's great.
One story with him where he was on the Padres. I think it was like before he came to the Mets, and Steve Finley, who was their center fielder, goes to him, Rickey, you can sit wherever you want. You got tenure. You can sit wherever on this bus. He goes, tenure? Motherfucker, Rickey got 15 years.
Tenure. God, he sounds like he's a goddamn hoot. And man's fast. That man was fast.
I mean, top of the lineup. It's none better in the history of the game. You know,
big time.
It was basically Moneyball before that was Moneyball. He stole the bases at a pretty high clip, and you know, he
crazy.
walked a lot, you know?
Crazy. I got a question here. Do you eat ballpark food? Do they have a cafeteria? You said there's a kitchen. Is it stocked? Is there someone making food, or is it just like fend for yourself? We got a game.
Yeah, I mean, back then they didn't have like nutritionists and shit like that they would watch, but we would bring in food for them. So you'd have Italian one night, or Mexican, or pizza.
Okay, yeah.
Days. So it's like those guys basically could eat 3 meals in the clubhouse on a given day. You know, especially like a double header or something like that. So we would have catered food brought in, and then we'd eat after we're done with like cleaning the cleats and cleaning a little bit of the uniforms, and then all the players are gone then at that point. So
yeah,
it wasn't ballpark food a lot. Sometimes they'd have like a player like, I want a hot dog, and I'm like, all right, I'm going up there and like, you get a hot dog. People were like, what the hell is this guy in full uniform?
Big Met guy.
Big Met guy.
All right, what was your if you had to pick, again, this is what we could do top 3 because it'll be easier, like moments that you got to take part in as a Met, whether it be the Clemens bat or any other opening day that you liked.
It was tough because there's a lot of regular season moments that were really cool. You know, like not unlike it was this season with that big comeback. It was like that 10-run parade.
Mm-hmm.
Just, you know, insane, you know, and that's like not going to be in my top 3 because there's better moments. But,
yeah.
You know, I think even though it wasn't in like a playoff season, I think it was just kind of surreal moment in 9/11, the Piazza home run game, which was, you know, the whole country, the whole city, you know, coming in, and it's just like one of those moments, which is, you know exactly where you were when it all happened. I was behind home plate, you know, I was greeting them at home plate, and you know, gave them the fist pump, and
yep.
It was just, you know, I think the whole crowd wasn't sure to cheer. It was just like a surreal moment in the stadium, and not unlike, it was unlike anything like in the playoffs, because, you know, you go to a playoff game and the crowd is raucous the whole time, you know, and I think as the people started to get a little bit more comfortable, he saw how it kind of exploded, and that, I think it was the 8th inning when he hit that bomb.
That is, yeah, it's one of like my favorite. Got that 9/11 jersey.
There you go.
That 9/11 jersey, because it's one of my favorite moments ever, and I love the fact that we get to see you every time. Because I watch that, it ends up being that thing that like every time it's like 9/11, I'll send it to my buddies, be like, never forget when Mike Piazza hit a home run for America, you know, and I'll pull it up, and who do I see every time? My cousin Jimmy. I love it. It happens a lot. It happens a lot. We see a lot of highlights, and it's the best when it's like not even me looking out for stuff. It's like the Mets will just put up highlights on like Instagram, and I'll just see you just high fiving someone. You're just pointing. You're like, it's him.
It would be like this day in history, and it was like the Benny Yagbayani home run, and I'm like jumping on the pile or whatever, and then like,
dude.
Like, big head jump bouncing up and down because I'm taller than like Ray Ordonez, you know.
Yeah, but, dude, it fires me up. I love when I just see you pop up all over these highlights because you're there every game.
We have so many.
I think if I had to round up the top 3, my God. I mean, I think beating the Cardinals in the 2000 NLCS was probably the top 1. I mean, that's as close to the top as I got, and there, you know, and. Winning the World Series, and just everyone was you know, just jazzed up and going into the next round. But that had to have been there, and then I was like, what goes next? And you know, I think I put the Todd Pratt home run after that, because they beat the Diamondbacks, and that won like that first series. So that was my first taste of champagne. So
yeah, hell yeah! And you ended up you have, because you're part of the team, 2000 NLCS Championship ring, which is one of the. Oh, look at the box it's in. Oh man.
So there's the.
The relic, man. That's a beaut. That's so epic.
Fingers down a little fatter, so it doesn't.
Awesome. Oh, that's so. It's black too. I didn't know they made them black. It's fucking black. Oh man. That is
black with the 4
that is awesome.
For at the time, the 4 NL pennants that they went to.
That's so awesome. Oh, that is so awesome.
Sweet.
Yeah, unbelievably epic. Oh, wow. What a thing. That's like, so I brought this up to you. I was asking about, because I asked you about the ring. You said Uncle Jack's got a bunch of your memorabilia. Well, what memorabilia are you holding on to? And what has Uncle Jack got in that basement that I'm going to go rob him?
he has my, what does he have? He has the framed newspaper of me and the
epic.
Day, so he has that one.
You got to get that for your house.
Well, you talked about before about the Mercury Mets. Oral Hershiser personally autographed for everybody, and like wrote something with. He had the Mercury Mets jersey on, but for his 200th win when he got that, so he wrote that. So I have that there. We got a baseball bat personalized by Louisville for the World Series. So I have like a
That's cool.
World Series bat, and then it's just like autographs that I've had over the years. So it's like I said before, Sandy Koufax.
You're gonna have an awesome Met corner one day. Whenever you have like a Met, you know. Yeah.
I only really went for like the Hall of Famers. So it's like George Brett came in one day and I got his autograph. Cal Ripken, was still playing and came in. Tony Gwynn was still playing at the time. So it's like those are the guys I was like, these guys are obviously Hall of Famers.
Oh yeah,
yeah. So, solid list.
A lot of times,
yeah, they're for real.
Players would ask for autographs, so you'd go down there and I'm like, take two, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna take three.
Right. Grab a third. And then you just say it's for like someone else. You're like, yeah, John Franco wants this. It's they're all for John. They're all for John.
No, you'd hear that all the time. Cal's like, John wants a lot of stuff this trip. And it's like all the time. But Cal Ripken, to his credit, he stayed when he was there. He went up and down the lines, like signed everybody's autographs when he was there. I was like, wow, this is like, this is a legend. And he's already at the tail end of his career. He most guys blow off fans, and
oh yeah.
One of the best of the best, and he took the time, signed every kid's autograph, and
awesome.
Fan favorite everywhere he goes.
That's so epic. That's so awesome. Yeah. Oh, I got one more. I remember you telling me an awesome story about you basically described it as the scene from Goodfellas where you're a valet.
These guys throw you your car keys and like, hey, I need to, because especially when they're coming in from last game of the homestand and they're going to fly out somewhere. So they give you like the cars and they'll be like, hey, I need gas and if you can wash it. So like they throw you the keys to the like S800 Mercedes Benz. I'm like, I feel like I'm, what's his name from Goodfellas? I'm 16. I can barely see over the wheel and I'm driving Cadillacs.
That's so awesome. What about, and you had to have a Wilpon story or two, I imagine too. You had to deal with the peak Wilpon era. Well, not peak, I guess, but peak Wilpon era.
Fred would come into the clubhouse, and I remember it was like one time they had like a bad stretch in like I think 2000, and that's when they like let go of a bunch of coaches, and like he was on his way out, and Mike Piazza Yellowstone was like, "Just sign the fucking checks." Jeff was at the time they had him president of like the Brooklyn Cyclones or whatever. And I remember one time he brought like. He was like a pitcher or something. I think he got drafted by the Expos or something like that. And they had he had them bring in a couple of hitters from the Brooklyn team so that he could pitch to them. And like I'm like watching in the dugout them talking to like these like 18-year-old kids in like the New York Penn League. And they're like just swing and miss. Like, we'll get this over with as soon as possible. You ever seen the scene in Gladiator, like at the beginning of the movie where Maximus sees Joaquin Phoenix and he has they're fighting with like the soldiers and it's like all choreographed. Like that's how it felt like he came there. He's like down, he's like pumping, he's fist pumping. This guy was still on third base and thinks he hit a triple.
That's amazing. You also sent me an awesome picture of you and Mike Hampton and Al Leiter. And Al Leiter gesturing with one of the more funnier gestures that I've seen any pitcher make, let alone someone who's sitting next to the Batboy Mike Hampton. And you said you had a good story with that one?
Yeah, I mean, at the other end of that picture was Curt Schilling. It was like a day game, and I think it was like the opening series or something like that because Curt and Al would have probably been pitching if it was opening day. But the reason I know that is because they've built like a temporary seating. If you look behind me, and that's why like the players were sitting out there too. But Al Leiter at the time, I think it was in the 2000 season. Yeah, it was Mike Hampton was only there for one season, so. He was trying to negotiate with Curt to come to the Mets, to come be the pitcher for the Mets, and he's like, "Come on over here, we'll give you this." And they basically wrote down trade proposals on baseball and running them back to each other, and they're writing and they're doing countersigns and like how much he can pay him. And I was like, if only they signed Curt Schilling that year,
man,
2000, it probably would have been a lot different World Series if they had Curt Schilling.
Yeah, that's so funny. I would have kept those baseballs. I would have been like, Curt, sign this baseball. I'm keeping this with this fake contract that you might sign the Mets with.
We'll go to the Diamondbacks.
And then I think you said you had a Fran Healey story.
Well, Fran Healey, there was a pretty, whenever you'd fuck up, the players would just bury you, right? So it was a wet and rainy night.
How so? In terms of, like, what do you mean by?
An error down the line, the players, when you come in, you just get.
Gotcha.
But in this instance, it was like a rainy night, rain delay, and like when it's raining and they take off the field, you got to take like the rosin bag off the field so that doesn't get soaked. Because rosin is like a rock basically, and it would just be destroyed. So we bring that in, and then we forgot to put it back out when they started the game up. So I had to run out there, and because I'm Batboy, I'm not wearing cleats, I'm wearing sneakers. And I like start to slide down and like fall on my ass. And like the players were all laughing, and like Fran Healey was like, "There goes Jimmy the Batboy." Every relative saw that. Like it's like a random game in like April or May, and like everybody saw it, and everyone's like, "I saw you fell on your face."
That's amazing.
Players are just watching it rewind and,
in the clubhouse, like, "Hey, Jim!"
So, they would goof on you. I mean, it was all in good fun. You just with the punches.
That's so
Lenny
funny.
Harris would call me Big Bird, and he got a Big Bird costume, and he put on my jersey and started walking around the clubhouse. You just kind of have to, roll with it.
That's great. That's so fun. It seems like it's so fun. It seems like it would be such a fun job to have, such a fun experience. Like I can only imagine, especially because now I've always our family's a lot of Yankee fans. We got a lot of Yankee fans in our family. There's a few that your family's the lone Met crew. Oh, I mean Uncle Bobby. A few of our family members do like the Mets. Were you guys Met fans prior, or did this kind of solidify you being a Met fan?
Well, I was, because my dad had season tickets when I was a kid. So I grew up in Queens. They grew up in Queens. It wasn't the Mets, So they grew up, and the closest team was either in the Bronx or in Brooklyn, or they played in Manhattan. So
yeah,
I think it would have been different if they grew up a decade later. They might have been Mets fans, But
so you were already set in your Met ways before you became a Batboy.
I was a Mets fan. That's where I spent most of my years. So I would go to
100%
school and go to the opening day, and they had some pretty lean years when I was a kid going to them. After the '90s, they were pretty terrible. But it's solidified when I was obviously became a Batboy.
Yeah, that's it's such a fun thing. It's such an awesome thing that you got to be part of.
Yeah,
so pumped.
It was. You can't ask for much more from when you're going to school and you're doing this, and the ring and all that. So it was
yeah, it's wild. It's one of those things that even I flex to people. Even I would be like, God, my cousin's a Batboy for the Mets, dude. What does your cousin do? But then they'd be like, well, he runs the water slide at Mountain Creek. I'd be like, well, that's fucking sick.
Yeah, because you have the shard of baseball.
At the end of the day, you think, I think the first time I was working there, I was calling him, "Hey, Mr. Franco," and you're trying to show respect, but they're like, "Just call me Johnny," you're trying to be taught to teach them as these older, respected people, and at the end of the day, they're just regular guys, just like the next one. They just make $1 million,
Yeah, I feel like that would be my biggest thing too. I feel like I wouldn't be able to differentiate that. I mean, I'm sure you would after a while, just like you probably did. Where it's just they're just a bunch, like you said, just dudes being dudes playing a game.
Basically, yeah. I mean, they've never grown up either, So it's they've just been talented their whole lives, and
bastards. Savages.
They're the 1% of that could do it, right? Everyone would be a center fielder for the Mets if they could, you know.
Romance, baby. All right, so we'll have one more question just to lead out with. I think this is just if you could pick. If I guess you kind of already answered this with your favorite Met. I was gonna say if you had one jersey that you would get of a player that you were a bat boy with while you were a Met, what would you get? Or on top of that, what current Met player is your favorite, or would you get like a Met jersey of?
Met jersey? I don't know. Of the team now.
Yeah, who do you like now? Who's your stud this year? Who's your stud on this squad that you're digging?
It's hard not to root for a guy like Alonso. You know, I mean, just a guy hitting bombs. I actually have one more story that I can kind of go into with.
Oh, please do.
My first year there was '98, which is famous for the Sosa McGuire years, right? And I just remember the batting practice, right? Because I said before, the Mets hit first, and then the Cardinals were hitting second. And I've never seen electricity for batting practice before. You know, like the crowd was all into it. He had 50-something home runs coming into that weekend, so it's like everyone wanted to catch, you know, number 56 or whatever, right? Like,
yeah.
Just kind of an incredible time in baseball, like that 4-year run and window where not only were the Mets good, but like baseball started to come back and people started to get excited, and those guys came in, and it just like kind of took over the town. And I'm like thinking, I was like, what happens if he hits like 4 this weekend? I catch it and maybe make $1 million. You know, that's running through my head too. So,
for sure.
But yeah, I mean, it was. You know, those types of situations was like power hitter. So to answer your question about who my favorite Met is, I'd have to go Alonso, and homegrown guy kind of coming up, and
he's just a goofball. He's just a lovable like oaf. Like I was telling my friends the other day, watching him like run the bases really fast is amazing because he just the dude just flails his arms and legs and like puts all the effort he has into it. Love that guy. Love Pete Alonso.
I mean, the reality is with he took a truck to the somehow he rolled over like 8 times, and ultimately he came out walking somehow, so maybe the gods are smiling on us,
right? With that car crash, crazy.
I look at the Mets, they're like the best comparison I hear for the Mets is they're like locusts. You know, like those locusts every 7 years they come out.
Always come out. That's what it is. That's what it is.
Another 7 years. So
I like that. What's it? It's been 7 since 2015, right? Math checks out. Going back to that home run thing, if they were to have hit a home run and it hits like, because in Shea there were a lot of areas where people weren't.
Like that
does that make it like? Would that make it yours?
No,
oh, you would have.
Especially for something that you could sell.
Mark McGuire, yeah, it'd be like, that sucks.
I remember, like you'd see, or like somebody would hit like their first hit or something like that, So you'd have to, see if, or like I remember somebody hit their first hit and it was a home run. The fans like threw it back, and I didn't realize it was his first hit. It was like a rookie on the other team. And I think I gave the ball away to a fan.
It's because like, where's my hit? That guy got it. That guy's got it. Awesome stuff.
Know everyone's stats.
What?
I said you can't know everyone's stats.
No, especially back then. You don't have a phone. You don't have the internet.
Yeah.
Well, especially like September when like they call up like 15 guys. You just have no idea who this is. Like the first game, this scrub that not even like a top prospect, because you might be aware of like the Padres calling up their top prospect, but at that point I think I just threw it in the ground.
So epic. That's so funny. Awesome. All right, well guys, this is Jim, thanks for coming on board. Thanks for coming and talking to us about Mets baseball, being a bat boy. That was awesome. Yeah, a lot of fun stuff. We got more episodes coming in soon. We've been dormant for a little bit. Bobby's finally moved in, as you can see from his new digs. Jim, thanks so much. This was a blast. And this is our first guest. You are our inaugural interviewee. So good stuff.
Big news, yeah.
That's right. Big news, big Jim. So if you have any more questions, if you got any Bat Boy questions, any specific questions from those years, those games, because this guy was there for most of them. This guy was there for a lot of the epic ones. If you got any player specific questions, anything, drop them below. Because we're gonna have Jim back on possibly. We'll see as the season goes on. He might come back for just a random episode after a big game or something, because we're all to bring Met fans on here. if you're interested in coming on High Cheese, contact us. We'll find out what we like about you. So yeah, like, subscribe, drop some comments. Jim, thanks again for coming on. Let's go Mets go. Yeah, lock it up. LGFM, baby.
Let's go.
Let's go, baby. Let's go Mets go.